everyone, my name is Katie Baxter and I am a junior at Texas A&M. And today I'm interviewing the owner and lead designer of Custom Drapery Designs, which just so happens to be my mom. So, I had a few questions for you.
Okay.
I remember when I was little, you would sew all the drapery yourself, and so we had this big entryway to our house, and she had all the fabric spread out, and I would sit in the very middle on this green square meter measurement thing. So I watched Custom Drapery Designs being built, but I was too young to
know what was going on.
know what was going on. Yeah, so
in fact, I was on a ladder when I was 8 months pregnant with you, installing.
Well, so I wanted to hear from your own perspective. Tell me your story and how you got to be sitting where you are now in your own design studio.
Well, I loved being a mom. That was my purpose. But that was my long-term goal. And I needed, for me, short-term goal. I needed engagement. I needed something for me while I loved on my babies, something that satisfied me. And like you mentioned, I did a lot of sewing, and I had a little play group, and one of the girls' moms was like, you should do this for a business. And I kid her, 18 years later, back in the day, you did this, you started this. But I did. I started sewing for my neighbors, anybody that would trust me. And then that's also when I was on the ladder, when I was pregnant with you. It went on for a while, and then I started reaching out. I realized I didn't want to be the one sewing it so much. I wanted to be the one reaching out and meeting the people and designing it, and my creativity was getting past my expertise in the sewing room. So I was reaching out to workrooms, and then that's about 2009 when I met the workroom that we currently work with today, and he's like a brother to me, and it's a great team. But that's when I was really able to take off and do all the designing, meeting the clients, working on the marketing and the advertising, and that's constantly evolving, and that was a lot of fun. And then I could have the workroom design what I had and what the client loved, and it was just magic. And then at some point I reached out to a good girlfriend of mine, because you start meeting people in the industry. I said, would you like to work with me?
Yeah.
And that was a big risk for her, because again, you're trusting me, mom. And she did, and we did, and we created magic. And now you're sitting in this office design studio with me.
Brenda Baxter of Custom Drapery Designs. What was your biggest challenge in creating a company from scratch?
Well, a lot of it was internal challenges for me. What I struggled with at the very beginning was courage. So I had to really fight the internal fears and fear of rejection. I knew what I wanted to do, and I knew the steps to get there, and I needed to put one foot in front of the other, but the part that was almost paralyzing was literally doing that. And so it was almost comical. My hand would pick up the phone and dial it, but my mind is going, no. But then I would take the rejection or the very pleased client, glad to hear from me kind of thing, and I'd be like, why was I afraid to do that? And then I would do it again, and I just kept doing that and making that call and reaching out until that kind of became less and less, like I don't even think about the fear anymore. And the courage is there, and I'm kind of actually proud of myself that I didn't cave into that. I didn't let that be the rule. And here we are.
I think that's something a lot of people struggle with, putting themselves out there. Okay, so what inspired this passion of interior design and custom drapery?
Well, I tell your dad that it was pretty funny. Either we were going to go broke with my buying a bunch of fabrics with no purpose, or I needed to find a purpose that justified the purchase. So, because I and I'm surprised you don't remember me taking you to all the fabric stores, but you realize
Oh,
we
I
didn't
do.
really have an idea what we were doing there, but we were looking. And but what I did do was buy a lot of remnants. I would go to stores that had all these fringe remnants, and I was in hog heaven. And so what I did was I started making a lot of pillows that were very elaborate, and I would go to shows and I would present these as like advertisement for custom drapery designs. It was a real slow go. It wasn't probably the best. It wouldn't be advised. I could probably be one of those. I won't do that ever again. But I met a lot of people, and it really kind of identified my path. You know, kind of, well, that's not working, so let's do this. You know, but that's where I was able to satisfy the whole textiles and putting everything together, and then slowly with the growth of custom drapery designs, and I realized, like I mentioned earlier, that I preferred meeting the clients and doing less of the sewing. Then my whole company kind of did a shift as to where the time allotment was spent. So now I can buy everybody else's fabric and love how that comes in and touch and feel and take great pictures of that, but somebody else gets to make it, which is great.
But why drapery? Why was that something that was special?
You know, it was, I loved in fashion design. I was getting a fashion marketing degree, and I was going to be a fashion designer. I was going to be the next Ralph Lauren.
I've heard stories of you drawing on napkins when you were
I did. I drew dresses all the time, and it was always a flowing dress. So now I realized it was flowing drapery that was about to be designed, but I didn't know it. So my dots all connected. You know, I worked in retail. You know, I understand management, and I loved all. I worked at Market, but I realized when I worked at Market, oh, this is not for me. So that door closed, which is not a bad thing because other doors opened. And the love for the textiles, I just loved that beautiful completed project. So it was design, but at a greater scale. So no longer clothing design, but drapery design became my thing.
Understandable. I like it. Okay, so with that, everything you're telling me, why do you think that custom drapery designs is different from your competition?
Very good question, and I think about that a lot because, well, I need to, because we're in Dallas, big city, lots of competition, and everybody is as good as we are. So what can be the difference, and what we try to do is make it that we are the difference. Our morals, our how we treat our clients, how we get them engaged in the entire process. We're completely transparent. We would like to really listen to what you want. We're not dictating. Our clients end up becoming long-term friends, and we may work on phases throughout the years. But one story that really comes to mind, there are two retirement homes, large retirement homes that I service. And right after the Christmas holidays, we delivered this big whole shutter project to them, and I noticed that they weren't buying their back door. So I just went out to the truck, brought up the door that we've had sitting in our office for almost 2 years now. There's nothing wrong with it. And I asked them, I brought them outside, and I said, I'd like to talk to you all about this. And I know that they were afraid that I was going to tell them there was something wrong.
Yeah, we ruined your wall. We did that.
There's something, I need to tell you that we got a problem. We're going to take it. But I didn't. What I was telling them is I have this door here. It's perfectly fine. It just has this rather than that, but it's exactly what you have up on the wall. Would y'all like this? And I noticed the wife immediately started crying, and the husband was like, well, that will work. And she embraced me, which I loved. It brought tears to my eyes because she really complimented me to the core, because she said, Brenda, I knew from the start when I saw you, because I hadn't met her. I purchased everything through the staff at the retirement home. They meet me only at the install. But she said, Brenda, I knew when I saw you and you walked in my door that you were somebody I could trust. And I so appreciate you doing this for us. So they did really want that door, but they didn't think they could afford it. And I just took I took that extra step and brought it to them because it just seemed like a perfect recycle. I can't even remember why I had the door. And I made their day, and it really made me.
Such a compliment on your character.
It really made me very happy. So that's how we like to be with all of our clients. You know, I'd give everybody a door if I could.
You don't have all the doors.
I don't have all those doors, but I really want everybody to know that we're approachable. We are
If you have
human.
a problem, we'll get it
And
solved.
we will fix it. You may not even know about it until afterwards, and we'll all laugh about it. But your project will be stellar because that's what we're going to do.
Well, it's good to hear. Thank you, Brenda Baxter. And,
Thank you.
Thank you for listening, and we hope you have a really great rest of your day.
Yes.